In today's video, I'm excited to show you how I made these Father's Day inspired candles. I'll show you all the steps and materials and take you through it step by step. So grab all your stuff and let's get crafty.
This is Mary. Welcome to the IHC Craft Room. For materials, we'll begin with some wax. We're going to use a new wax today called Proflex. 2 black candle tins. I think these are just so elegant. Some extra large crackling wood wicks. And of course, my friends, the Wick Stickums. And today we're going to be using 2 30ml Drakkar Fragrance Oils. And man, do I love this fragrance oil. For tools, we'll begin with parchment paper, some paper towels, a saucepan as a double boiler, a small pour pot, a kitchen scale, a 5-ounce measuring cup, a temperature gun, a heat gun, a pot holder, a wood stir stick, a wick trimmer, and a pair of rubber gloves. Alrighty, let's kick off this candle making by measuring out our wax. If you've seen one of my candle making videos before, you probably know by now that it's candle maker math time. These candle tins have a recommended capacity of 7 ounces, which is what we're targeting. And as always, I like to do a 10% fragrance load. So I'm going to need a total of 356 grams of wax and 40 grams of fragrance oil to achieve the volume of wax and fragrance I'm looking for. This is a new wax being offered by Village Craft & Candle that's supposed to be extremely easy to work with. It's a soy wax that has some added synthetic emulsifiers to help the wax perform better. Let's see how it does in today's experiment. While we get the wax melting, let's move on to measuring fragrance. I always cover my scale with parchment paper and paper towels, and I'm obviously wearing gloves. If you aren't as much of a bull in a china shop as I am, you probably can avoid most of these precautions. But why chance it, you know? I ended up with 41 grams of fragrance oil, which is good enough for me. Let's move on to prepping our wick. I've already cleaned the inside of these tins, so I'm going to focus on cutting down my wicks so that they're just a little bit taller than the top of the tin. I find that doing this makes it easier to trim them once the candles are set. Once that's done, I'll wipe down the bottom of the wick clips to make sure there isn't any dust or debris that'll interfere with the Wick Stickum. Make sure to really press firmly to get that Wick Stickum and wick clip to be besties for life. Then we'll stick it down to the bottom of our candle tin. I don't know if you're seeing this, but this is the first vessel where I can do this with my big man hands and not have to use a tool. Wow. Since I'm not adding any color to this candle, that means I'm done prepping, and it's time to flex my patience muscle a bit and wait for this wax to melt. But let's be real, I already did all that waiting, so I'm definitely not doing it again now. Let's skip ahead, shall we? Alrighty, my wax is 197 degrees, which is mucho caliente, so why not pour in that fragrance oil and give it a really good stir? This fragrance oil is inspired by that super yummy cologne Drakkar Noir, and it really does not disappoint. It is the darkest fragrance oil I've used to date though, and since I'm not adding color to this candle, I'm interested to see if it darkens my final product. Stay tuned and let's see. I hope you've been enjoying watching Lady Impatient's dance of the potholder fan. I'm trying to get the wax down to around 160 degrees Fahrenheit before I pour, and clearly I'd already reached my patience quota for the day by this point. Anywho, it's time to pour. And now I'm gonna let this candle set and we'll see how Proflex sets up overnight. It's been about 24 hours at this point, and hello, Proflex. I see you. I see your stunningly smooth tops. Look at that perfect surface with no sinkholes, no pulling away from the side of the vessel. Talk about a perfectly smooth top. Unbelievable. And I'm happy to see that even though the fragrance oil was darker in color than I usually use, the wax doesn't seem to have been impacted by it much at all. Ooh la la, Proflex! I think there's a very good chance that you and Freedom Soy Wax are now in direct competition for my affection. I'm gonna let these candles cure for a few days before we light them up and see if my wick, wax, and fragrance combo equals a good burn. These candles have now cured for 10 days, and I'm gonna use my wick cutting tool to cut these wood wicks down to about 1/4 inch above the wax line. I ended up having to blow out these candles and trim the wicks down a touch further because I was getting a really rowdy flame with some black smoke, and that told me my wicks were too long. At the 1 hour mark, I have some beautiful flames and the melt pool is gradually making its way to the vessel walls. This is going very well. At the 2 hour mark, my flames remain strong and the melt pool is very nearly at the vessel walls already. By the 3-hour mark, I have a fully melted top, and this room smells like a phenomenal cologne bottle smashed in the middle of the room. It's really warm and just so inviting. I love this fragrance, and I bet my dad will love it too. Thank you for joining me on this Father's Day themed, Drakkar Noir inspired candle tin making experiment. I hope you enjoyed making these candles with me. I'd love to hear from you, so please comment below. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo!